Hello, my dear friends, and it's Christmas time once again. And as we celebrate Christmas, we know that Christmas comes along with a lot of decorations, exchanging of gifts, and also we find Christmas trees, cribs decorated, and many of us decorate our houses like we enjoy the Christmas season because there is so much of joy in the air. And while we exchange our gifts, we keep on looking for one figure that comes to give us gifts. Very especially the children who get excited to see Santa Claus come and give gifts to them is something very much awaited during this season of Christmas. And today, I'm going to talk about Santa Claus. Who actually is Santa Claus? Now, if you look at the history of Santa Claus, in the 4th century, we had Bishop of Myra. Now that particular place is in Turkey. So this Bishop Nicholas was somebody who was very generous, humble, and he used to give gifts to people without even they asked for it. And he was a person who gave gifts to people who were poor, who were really in need. And he gave all this quietly. Why? Because he did not want any recognition for the gifts that he had given. Because he really followed the message of gospel. Because we hear in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 3, that let not your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So he was generous, humble, he was ready to give everything to others without telling anyone. And that's why from there, this figure of Saint Nicholas, this spirit of Saint Nicholas developed over time, and gradually it turned out into a Santa Claus kind of a tradition where people receive gifts from Santa Claus during Christmas. The feast of Saint Nicholas is on the 6th of December, and traditionally this day, the 6th of December, used to be a day of exchanging gifts. And gradually from there, this whole season of Christmas became a time of exchanging of gifts, giving of gifts, and receiving of gifts. So today, if you see a Santa Claus, please remember that Saint Nicholas is the reason behind this figure of Santa Claus, who shares with us his humility, who shares with us his generosity and special love for the poor. And that's what Saint Nicholas means today for us in the form of Santa Claus. My dear friends, as we celebrate this beautiful festival of Christmas, has it only been a festival for us, or has it been something more than a festival? Now, Christmas in our lives means giving our space to Jesus to take birth. It is not only a story of 2000 years ago, where Jesus was born in a manger, but it is actual, our experience, that we celebrate Christmas not only because of an event that took place 2000 years ago, but the experience of that birth of Jesus that we live every day. Now today is the day of Christmas, 25th December, a long-awaited day. We waited for it for the last 4 weeks since the beginning of Advent. And today we are here on the day of Christmas. Is it only the decorations, the lights, all the pomp and show that we have? Is this all about Christmas? But rather, Christmas is all about sharing that joy, that love of Christ that we have in our heart with others. Now, the main thing that Christmas wants to tell us is that God became flesh and dwelt among us. In the Gospel of John, it is very beautifully captured in chapter 1, verse 14. That word became flesh and it dwelt among us. That's why God chose to dwell with the humanity. He did not want it to be away from us, but He wanted to be one with humanity so that He may also share our human nature and experience the weaknesses that we all experience in our life, so that God may feel closer to humanity and humanity may also feel closer to God. God is not somebody who is at a distance, but rather God is somebody who has taken birth in our midst. God is somebody who lives with us. God is somebody who takes part in our problems, and God participates in our joys and sorrows. And therefore Jesus took birth to be one like us. And it is also, He wanted to be close to people and to the entire nature. We see in the Gospel of Luke chapter 2 verse 7, it is written that she gave birth to a child, and she wrapped the child in the cloth and she kept him in the manger. Now manger is a place where the animals are fed. That is the place where the animals go to feed themselves. So their food is kept over there. And that was the place where Son of God is born. A place where animals feed themselves. And we find this is the humble state of God. God chose humility over power and majesty. We know that God is all majestic, all powerful, but instead of all that, He chose a very humble state of birth, to be born in the poorest conditions, to be born in the most fragile conditions. He did not take birth in a palace, but rather in a manger, just to show you and me that God is humble, and He wants each and every one of us to be humble. When we experience humility in our lives, when we inculcate that value of humility in our lives, we'll experience the joy of this newborn Jesus Christ in our lives. And also, Jesus came to be one with the poor. We find who were the first ones in the Bible to be given the message of the birth of Jesus Christ. It was not any king, it was not the scholars, not the big Pharisees, but rather the poor shepherds who were taking care of their flocks at night. And we see that very well in the Gospel of Luke chapter 2 verse 10, that the angel of the Lord comes to the shepherds and he tells them, "Do not be afraid, for I bring to you a news of great joy, a good news that is for you and for all the people." So then they follow the instructions of the angel of the Lord, and they go and they see Jesus who is born in the manger. And that's why the first message is given to the shepherds who were poor, who were not recognized by society, who did not have any status in the society. If Jesus was to be born only for rich and elite people, the first message would have gone to rich people, and Jesus would have taken birth in a palace. But He wants to be one with the poor, the suffering, those who are working hard for their daily bread. God is born for each one of us who has, some struggles in our lives. God is born for those who do not have peace in their lives, so that we accept Jesus in our hearts and receive His peace and His joy in our lives. And we also find that we share a lot of gifts during this season of Christmas. Christmas has become a season where people reach out to each other to give the gifts. Now, what is the main gift for you during this Christmas? Please reflect on this. What is the gift that I have received and is most valuable for me during this Christmas? Let me tell you, the best gift for you, for me, for everyone is Jesus Himself. Jesus is our gift. He is the best gift because He showed us the way to the Father. He showed us the way to heaven. And Jesus is our source of joy. If Jesus was not there, there was no Christmas. If Jesus was not there, there would have been no exchange of gift. If Jesus was not born, we would not have been celebrating this great day. Today, as we celebrate Christmas, let us remember always that Jesus is our greatest gift. You may get expensive gifts, but they are not worth to live with us forever, but rather Jesus would live with us forever. In our joys, in our sorrows, in our difficult moments, in our moments of success, in our moments of failures, Jesus will always remain with us. And also, let us find in our lives today, do we have room for Jesus in our lives, in our hearts? We know from the Bible that Mother Mary and Joseph, they were looking for a place for Jesus to give birth, but they could not find. The inn that they went into did not have a place for them. And then Jesus was born in a manger. And do we have place for Jesus in our lives? Do we have place for Jesus in our lives to say yes to Him every day like Mother Mary? Do we have place for Jesus in our hearts? In our struggles, we often think that God is away from us. But in the struggles of Saint Joseph, in the struggles of Mother Mary, we find them really holding on to God to find God always with them. Therefore, we need to find room for Jesus in our lives, and this joyous Christmas keeps on reminding us that God is with us, because Emmanuel, who is born, is our Jesus, and He is with us. Today, let us acknowledge God's presence in our lives so that we may experience His joy, His mercy, and the true message of Christmas, that is God's love and God's presence is always with us. Let us make this Christmas a moment of joy, not only for us, for our families, but everyone around us, so that we may accept and experience God's love every day in our lives. Merry Christmas to you and your families.
My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, be a part of the Maria Vision India family. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram for daily spiritual content, including live mass, live adoration, and our Chain of Love intercessory prayer, live every Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. All our live shows are also available on Hathway, channel number 23, and DEN, channel number 131. Grow in faith, stay blessed, and remember, Our Lady will always be with you. Ave Maria.